When I received my mother's message that Thanksgiving dinner would be family only, I didn't understand what she meant at first. Family only. I read it 3 times, waiting for the familiar warmth to settle in, but it didn't. The words hung in my mind like smoke after a fire, lingering, heavy, and suffocating. For a moment, I tried to convince myself it was just a mistake, that she'd forgotten to add my name to the group chat, or that it was some sort of oversight. But deep down I knew. I always knew. Growing up mixed race in a small town wasn't easy, especially when your mother's family preferred to pretend that part of you didn't exist. My father, a kind, humble man from Jamaica, passed away when I was 11. After that, it felt like everything connected to him, including me, became something my mother wanted to erase. The curls in my hair, the tone of my skin, the name he gave me, Amara. All reminders of what she considered her mistake. For years, I tried to win her approval. I studied hard, worked 2 jobs, and put myself through university. I built my own business from the ground up. A small cafe that grew into something bigger, something special. People came not just for the food but for the warmth, the feeling that everyone belonged. I created the kind of place I never had growing up. Somewhere love wasn't measured by blood or color. When the cafe became a restaurant and started getting local attention, I invited my mom. She declined every single time. She always had an excuse: too busy, too tired, not her crowd. And now, this Thanksgiving message felt like the final confirmation that I had never been and never would be part of her world. I stared at that text for a long time before setting my phone down. For a moment, the old ache returned, that familiar sting of not being enough. But this time, something inside me shifted. I wasn't the little girl begging for a place at her table anymore. I had my own table now. And it was much bigger than hers ever was. The week before Thanksgiving, our restaurant was booked solid. We had just won an award for Best New Dining Experience, and I was busier than ever. But when my manager, Claire, brought me the list of special reservations for Thanksgiving Day, I froze. Right there, in neat handwriting, was my mother's name, under a private booking for 12. For a second, I thought it was a joke. I asked Claire who made the reservation. She said, "A Mrs. Jenkins." Said it's for her family. Wants everything perfect. Traditional Thanksgiving meal, full service, classy atmosphere. I smiled, but it wasn't the kind of smile that reached my eyes. "Let's make it perfect," I said quietly. On Thanksgiving Day, the restaurant glowed. The candles flickered softly against golden plates, and the scent of roasted turkey and herbs filled the air. My staff knew to keep things smooth and elegant. I wore a simple black dress and stood near the host's station, calm and composed. At 6 sharp, my mother walked in with her husband and the rest of the family. She looked radiant, the kind of woman who craved admiration. Her eyes swept around the room, clearly impressed by the decor, the soft jazz, the waiters in crisp uniforms. She didn't see me at first. "Welcome to Ember and Oak," Claire greeted warmly. "Do you have a reservation?" "Yes, Jenkins, party of 12, my mother said, glancing around with that air of superiority she'd perfected over the years. Claire smiled and gestured toward their private dining room. "Right this way, ma'am. The owner is here tonight. She wanted to personally ensure everything was perfect for you." My mother nodded absent-mindedly, clearly pleased by the attention. She didn't notice me approaching until I was right beside the table. Her laughter froze mid-breath when our eyes met. "Good evening," I said softly. "Welcome to my restaurant." Her face went pale. I watched the realization bloom across her features. Disbelief, confusion, then shame. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. The rest of the family looked between us, puzzled, until one of my aunts gasped. "You own this place?" she whispered. "Yes," I replied simply. "Every detail you see here, the menu, the design, the service, it's all mine." For a moment, silence filled the room. My mother's hand trembled as she set her napkin down. I didn't know," she muttered, her voice cracking under the weight of her own pride. "No," I said calmly. "You didn't care to know. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to." The truth hung there, sharp and undeniable. I told Claire to treat them with the same kindness we offered everyone. And I did what I always did. I made sure every customer left feeling welcome. As I watched my mother's family eat, laughing awkwardly, I felt a strange peace settle in. The revenge I thought I wanted wasn't loud or cruel. It was quiet, graceful, and complete. She had uninvited me from her table, but tonight, she was dining at mine. When dinner ended, my mother stood and walked over to me near the bar. Her eyes glistened with something that looked like regret. "Amara," she began softly, "you've done well for yourself." "Thank you," I said. It wasn't easy, but I learned that family isn't always the one you're born into. Sometimes it's the people who see you for who you are, and still choose to stand beside you. She nodded slowly, but I could tell the words cut deep. She turned to leave, but before she did, she whispered, "Your father would be proud." I didn't answer. I just smiled faintly, letting her walk away into the cool night. Later, after the restaurant closed, I stood alone by the window, watching the city lights shimmer across the glass. For years, I'd carried the weight of not being accepted. I thought success would erase that pain, but it didn't. It just transformed it into understanding. I realized that sometimes, the best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's proving yourself right. It's standing in the place where they thought you'd never be and knowing you got there without their help. It's choosing grace when bitterness would have been easier. That Thanksgiving, I didn't sit at her table. She sat at mine. And in that quiet, beautiful irony, I finally found peace.